Well, I think it was very clear that he lost the parliamentary majority even earlier. But the thing was that there are people within his own party who were deserting him, and that had kind of tilted the table in favor of the opposition. But now his allies, or most of them, seem to have deserted him. So it's basically curtains for him. The choice before him he is that he can either try and linger on for another couple of days, go through the motions, lose the vote of no confidence, or perhaps resign before the vote happens.
So, is it your understanding that he is going to address the nation later tonight?
Well, that's the announcement which is coming out of Islamabad, that he will address the nation. But, it's pure speculation at this point in time whether, he's going to come out with all guns blazing, blame the West, the evil, satanic America for destabilizing his government, a ploy he's been using for some time now. Or simply come out and say that, look, I tried to do the best possible, but all these characters, these corrupt, venal politicians ganged up against me. He could do that. But basically, it's the last, ploy of a drowning man.
And, I've been listening to some of his recent speeches, and he rambles on about what an iconic cricketer he was. He hurls insults at the army, politicians. I mean, what does it say about his state of mind at the moment?
I think he's like, one of those Shakespearean tragic heroes, who's in his own echo chamber, who one moment, he's very excited about his prospects. The next moment he's in despair, and he's blaming the rest of the world for his own incompetence. And the fact of the matter is that, look, his intellect level was limited to the cricketing field, and he thought that the world was an extension of the cricketing field. Now, we've all played cricket, but we knew that the world is a lot more complicated than running an 11-man team or just handling the cricket board. Handling politics, especially in South Asia, even in Australia for that matter, is a lot more complicated than playing cricket.
Yeah, I think he thought his popularity would carry him. OK, so let's get to the nitty-gritty, though. Who might take over? Will there just be a caretaker? Will they have to bring elections forward?
Look, the thing is that the chances, or at least what we are hearing, is that most likely the leader of opposition, Shahbaz Sharif, will step in. Now, whether he steps in for the next year and a half, which is what the term of the parliament is, or, he steps in, fixes a couple of things over a month, 2 months, and then they go in for fresh elections, which will be held under a caretaker government. And perhaps fresh elections will be held perhaps by July or August this year. So that is one option. The other option is that, Imran Khan quits, the opposition refuses to form a government, and they go in for a caretaker government immediately, and elections are held in the next 2 or 3 months. So that's the roadmap in front. The thing is that the roadmap was clear until the no confidence motion. But after that, it's a bit of a toss-up. And even the opposition leaders have said that they will consult among themselves to figure out how to move forward once they've ousted Imran Khan. Yeah. But I guess they must have worked out the plan, and it'll be clear in the next day or two.
Yes. I mean, critical to any Pakistan Prime Minister is support of the military. And, we haven't seen Prime Ministers really last the distance in Pakistan. Why do you think that is? And you talked about his limitations as a Prime Minister, but there seems to be a lot of instability in the country.
Yes, there is instability, and it's chronic. But a part of the instability is because the army continues to interfere. It was the army which propped him up. It was the army which brought him into power. They played fiddle with the election, with the opposition politics, and ensured that he stayed in power for the last 3.5 years. And then since last October, when he tried to play politics within the army, to play one general as favorite against other generals, that was a red line which he had breached. And after that, it was a matter of time before he would go. And the army didn't really do anything against him, but it stopped supporting him. The crutches on which he was surviving were pulled out from him. And then he was left on his own. And as one of his allies said, the army refused to change his nappies anymore, and he's been caught in muck ever since.
Yeah, it is quite extraordinary to watch how it's played out. And I mean, there's also been so many question marks as to the relationships that he hasn't courted properly with other countries and where it leaves Pakistan going forward.
Well, look, not only did he not know governance, not only did he run the economy into the ground, but I think the worst thing he did was he spoiled Pakistan's relations with many of the countries. So, for example, within the first month of his taking office, his commerce advisor on commerce, made certain statements against the China-Pakistan Economic Corridor projects. Ever since, the CPEC has gone into a go-slow mode. He made certain statements against the Arab countries, which have been benefactors of Pakistan, which have given enormous amounts of money to Pakistan and kept it afloat. But they tried to create a separate Islamic bloc. That kind of turned off countries like the UAE and Saudi Arabia. He has been raving and ranting against the West, which is his biggest market, which is the place from where, a lot of Pakistani generals and their kids want to go and study. And yet he's been raving and ranting against the West, calling it evil and calling it all sorts of names. So he's ruined Pakistan's external relations. And that has also been weighing on the army, which found his continuation as Prime Minister untenable and destabilizing for Pakistan.
Yeah, really fascinating times. Great to talk, Sushant. Thanks so much.
Pleasure.